Hey everyone, and welcome back. So we're already at the end of August, meaning that it's time to look forward and look at the upcoming games for the month of September. Also, just a quick mention that we always get a ton of shadow drops on the Nintendo Switch eShop, meaning that obviously this will not be a complete list of the games coming out for the month of September. Rather, these are the 11 games that I really think we should focus our attention on and that are announced for the moment. And I'm telling you right away, a lot of these games have got me hyped, and some games have got me really intrigued. But you know what? Let's get right to the list. And as we start on that, don't forget that if you do like the content, to please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. So now the first game we're going to look at is releasing on September 2nd, and that is Kitaria Fables, that will be selling for the digital deluxe version at $24.99 or the base version $19.99. Now what has me intrigued about this game is it's an adventure RPG with farming and crafting, all things I love to see in one package. Secondly, I really love the top-down style of gameplay we have here. It seems perfectly fitting for the cute, cartoon-like design to the world and the characters. Now obviously they are banking on this point with humanoid animals as all the characters in the game. Let's just hope that they've put in a deep system to the game to really make it worth investing that $20 to $25. Now for our next game, we don't have to wait long because on September 3rd, we have Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions releasing at $39.99. Now at this price point, this is definitely a game I'm going to tell you all, wait for a few reviews to drop. Before spending $40, you want to make sure that you're getting an overall solid game. But basically, this is an arcade-style beat-em-up boxing game that combines the new characters from the Creed franchise with the classic old-school characters from the original Rocky series. Now on the Switch, we don't have a lot of options for boxing games, so I'm really hoping we're getting a solid entry here, but I do love the arcade beat-em-up style for the Rocky/Creed franchise. Because of their over-the-top representation of the boxing world, it seems to be perfectly fitting. Now next, we have my most anticipated game for the month of September, releasing on September 7th, Sonic Colors Ultimate, with a digital deluxe version at $44.99 and a base version at $39.99. There's also going to be a physical release, which I have already pre-ordered personally. So why am I excited about this game? Number one, it's Sonic. Number two, it's a remake of a game that overall was pretty well received in the Sonic community. So I'm really hoping that they looked at the feedback from the original game and that we don't just get a pure port, but they've actually worked on some of the elements that people have maybe pointed out from the original version, and that this version will really become a one-of-a-kind experience. Also, I want to take time to give props to Sega to not going full price on this remake. It is a remake of an older game. The $39.99 release price point actually does feel fair to me. Now next on the list, we have my most intriguing game of September, with Dice Legacy releasing on September 9th for $19.99. Now this is my most intriguing game because I have no idea how the gameplay is actually going to play out. This is a dice-based city builder. They describe the activities you're going to do, like gathering resources, expanding, defending settlements, and that ultimately the dice represents your subjects. Now, I really am keeping my fingers crossed that all this comes together in a really interesting package. The least I can say is adding dice always brings an element of unpredictability, and adding that to an RTS-style city builder could be pretty interesting, making sure that every playthrough is really original. Once again, a very intriguing game, but one that I would say wait for a couple of reviews before picking up. Now next, also releasing on September 9th, we have Bloodrayne Betrayal's Fresh Bites, releasing for $19.99 as well. Now this is a remaster of a 2D hack and slash that was originally released, if I'm not mistaken, in 2011 on the PS3. Now I do know that the original, in my opinion, was a solid release. However, I know it got mixed reviews. Some people loved it, some people not so much. However, what really has me looking positively to this release is it's not supposed to be a pure point. There's supposed to be, number one, an HD remaster, but also the addition of modern features, and they redid the voice acting featuring Laura Bailey and Troy Baker, two voice actors that I just love. So if they can take their lessons learned from the original release, actually polish it up, you know what? I could be actually very hyped for this release. Now, we actually have a third game releasing also on September 9th that has me quite intrigued, and that is Hindsight 2020, releasing for $14.99. Now, this game has me intrigued for multiple reasons. First of all, the visuals can't help but reminisce the recent release of Blue Fire, a game that I just loved. Secondly, this is an action RPG that was developed by BioWare and Sucker Punch, and I'm focusing more on that second part, on the Sucker Punch part. Generally, their releases always turn out to at least be a very original experience. Finally, the Hindsight part in the title has me quite intrigued, where they promise that the gameplay will allow you to go back through your past playthroughs and actually fix mistakes that you would have made. On top of it, there's a morality system that will make each playthrough once again an original experience. Overall, we'll know a lot more on September 9th. Now, the next game on the list probably needs no introduction, but on September 10th, we're getting WarioWare Get It Togheter for $49.99. So first of all, let's get it out of the way. It's a new WarioWare. A lot of people are hyped. We haven't had a new one for the Switch yet, and you know what? The Switch seems like the perfect console to throw a WarioWare minigame compilation. But if you've never played a Wario game before, that is just it. It is a compilation of tons of minigames. Each have their own mechanics, generally are tons of fun, but overall, that is what you're getting. You're getting a party-style minigame compilation. Now, although I am happy that Nintendo didn't go for their regular full-priced launch of $59.99, at $49.99, it does still feel a little steep to me. At $39.99, I think this would have been a perfect pickup for a lot of people. But either way, I'm pretty sure this game is going to sell very well. If you want to try it out for yourself, there's actually a free downloadable demo. You can already try out some of the mini games. Now, next on the list, we jump to September 14th with Cruis'n Blast releasing for $39.99. Now, if you watch the channel, you know that I'm already a fan of arcade-style racing games, and Cruis'n Blast is a series that I am super happy to finally see coming back to consoles. And so far, what I've seen about the game has been very promising. And once again, this game is also getting a physical release that I have already personally pre-ordered and that I can't wait to drop into my Nintendo Switch console. Basically, if you love over-the-top arcade-style racing antics, I'm pretty sure that this game is going to deliver. You can always wait for reviews, but everything is pointing to a great release. Now, next on the calendar, on September 16th, we have Eastward releasing for a regular release price of $24.99. Now, I'll admit that before the last Nintendo Direct, this game actually hadn't captured much of my attention. But by closing out the Direct with this game, that means that Nintendo probably has a lot of confidence in this release. And secondly, being produced by Chucklefish, I have very little doubt that it's going to be a very solid game for the Nintendo Switch. Now, what we have here looks like a very story-driven dungeon crawling game that will have you swapping between two different playable characters and working your way through different puzzles. Now, this is a game that I am super happy dropped onto my radar, and I will definitely be checking it out on September 16th. Now, our next game is Nexomon that will be releasing on September 17th and will be selling for $9.99. Now, this is actually a prequel to the release that we've already gotten on the Switch, Nexomon Extinction. And it's basically a remake for consoles of the original Nexomon release. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this series, a lot of people will compare it to a Pokemon clone. And you know what? You are right, they are using a lot of the same gameplay loop. But I do feel that out of a lot of the clones out there, this series has done a lot to differentiate itself from Pokemon. Number one, if you're expecting a pushover battle system here, change your mind right away. This one has a deep combat system that you actually have to be paying attention to in each and every battle. Now, hopefully, this item was maintained in the original release, and I'm really looking forward to checking it out myself when it releases on September 17th, especially at a really nice budget price of only $10. Now, the last release we're going to be looking at for the moment for September is Embr, releasing on September 23rd with a sale price once again of $19.99. I do think that this is one of the most original releases once again of the month, where you play as what looks like a cartoony FPS firefighter. And in this world, fighting fires works like an Uber service, so people will actually have an app to call you up to put their fires out. Basically, once again, I am super intrigued by this game. It just looks like some crazy zany fun with some really solid gameplay. I once again even pre-ordered the physical version of this game, and I'll be able to report back to all of you slightly after the release on September 23rd. So that pretty much closes out my list of the top 11 games that have me excited for the month of September. Now I want to hear from all of you. What game are you most anticipating for the month of September, and was it on my list? And don't forget, as I said at the beginning of the video on the way out, if you did like the content, just hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, I hope I'll see all of you in my next video.